BSC is really awesome. Now we get to talk about it with Jose and Mixie.
If you aren't a 30-something who was really cool as a kid, you may not be aware of the most delightful book series, penned between 1986 and Y2K by Anne M. Martin.
Anne Matthews Martin herself, the princess of the Prince of Towns. These books follow a group of friends in the town of Stony Brook, Connecticut, who have started their own babysitting cooperative. The books have been dramatized in a 1995 movie and an HBO series featuring one of the most powerful musical compositions of our time.
Hello to your friends, Babysitters Club. Say hello to the people who care.
The books have also been dramatized in the 2020 Netflix adaptation, a masterpiece of a series, I must say. At 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, the critics agree. This is technically the highest rated show on Netflix.
The new show modernizes the book series, introducing a number of progressive, dare we say, revolutionary themes, but does a great job in keeping its character.
The Babysitters Club is a group of young girls who receive requests to babysit from families throughout their hometown, Stony Brook. Although it was Christy's great idea, played by Sophie Grace, and she holds the title of club president, the BSC could only be brought to life with her friends.
It's not the worst thing in the world to make a new friend. Maybe Marianne was right. Maybe new people weren't an invading force to be repelled at all costs.
Surprise! Have dim sum, thing to eat.
Or maybe Marianne was a total idiot.
The initial lineup of the BSC included Claudia Kishi, played by Momona Tamada, serves as vice president, with meetings hosted in her bedroom. A fashion icon in the original books and the Netflix series, Claudia's love of art is only matched by her disinterest in schoolwork.
Are you sure this thing actually works?
The Etsy shop I bought it from said it's fully operational.
Yeah, but it's 25 years old.
It's iconic.
Marianne Spear, played by Malia Baker, is the BSC secretary. Painfully shy and quick to tears, Marianne's soft-spoken nature masks a thoughtful person nursing a secret crush on one of the boys in her class.
Make it fashion.
Yep. Every day I leave the house looking like either the world's oldest toddler or maybe its youngest senior citizen. I guess I act like one too.
Stacey McGill, played by Shay Rudolph, is the club's treasurer and the new girl in town. She brings with her endless tales of New York City and a secret medical condition of childhood diabetes. And while a skilled babysitter, Stacey does tend to get a little boy crazy at times.
I'm working here on the beach too, so if you need any help, just holla at moi.
Holla at moi.
Maybe I should have pretended to drown after all.
The last member to officially join the club in the Netflix series is Dawn Schaefer, played by Xochitl Gomez, the alternate officer. Originally from California, Dawn brings some West Coast chill to the group, along with a strong activist spirit only alluded to in the original books.
Are just older weirdos, doing the best they can.
I tried the eggplant.
Just like the rest of us.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
The club would eventually grow to include junior officers Mallory Pike and Jesse Ramsey, who make appearances in the Netflix show, played respectively by Vivian Watson and Anae Lee.
Into the woods and out of the woods and home before.
Not now, Mallory.
Okay.
But for season 1, we're sticking to the 5 main girls.
When the Babysitters Club opens, this is how we meet Christy Thomas.
And he just kept droning on and on about the genius of Thomas Jefferson and how all men are created equal. If he was such a genius, why didn't he say all people?
Nice.
But it doesn't stop with taking on Thomas Jefferson.
Apparently, I raised my voice, and I didn't raise my hand.
Did he give you detention?
Essay on the importance of decorum.
What does that even mean?
Like not talking unless you're called on, being polite and invisible. Meanwhile, the boys are in the back of the room sticking Kleenex down their pants and wiping sweat on each other, but somehow I'm the disruptive one.
From the very first moment of the series, we learn that Christy is not only someone who will stand up when she sees an injustice, but well aware of how being a girl changes how she's perceived. To varying degrees, all the girls in the BSC experience moments like these, and this reflects one of the central themes throughout the series, the struggle for girls on their path to womanhood, finding a way to live in a world dominated by men. Christy's story arc in the season encapsulates this as she struggles with her mother Elizabeth, played by Alicia Silverstone, who is planning to remarry a guy named Watson Brewer, played by Mark Feuerstein. Christy is not thrilled with the idea.
Life, all you've told me is how important it is to be independent and to stand on your own 2 feet. But then you expect me to kiss the butt of the first rich guy who walks through the door.
Okay, that's enough.
I need you to go to your room.
He might be able to buy you, Mom, but he can't buy us.
I said go to your room now!
Fine.
A child being unhappy with their parent getting remarried is an old cliche, but how the BSC makes it fresh is by tying it to Christy's relationship with her mother and the lesson she taught her about being an independent woman. Elizabeth raised Christy, along with her 3 brothers, Sam, Charlie, and David Michael, on her own, all while balancing a career. A truly impressive feat, and Christy obviously looks up to her mother as a role model. But part of that idea she had of her mother was not needing anyone else to make her family work. Seeing Watson come into the picture complicates that image of her mother. It forces Christy to see her mother less as a superhero and more human, destroying the idol she had made of her. Coupled with that is Christy's anger over her father abandoning her and the rest of her family, something that bubbles up throughout the episodes.
Everyone's dad is just so desperate to hang out with them. Mr. Barrett takes Buddy to swimming. Marianne's dad wants her home with him every second of every day, and your dad FaceTimes you constantly, but my dad left me. I don't know where he is. He hasn't called me in a year and a half.
Christy was let down by the most important man in her life, and the idea of her mother needing another one brings into focus the reality of what growing up will mean to her, and that maybe she won't be able to do it all on her own. Christy's anger at her dad is generalized to the world around her. In the case of her teacher's double standard, it gives her some insight into how she can be unfairly treated, and sometimes she expresses her feelings with enthusiasm.
You're gonna get all dressed up for some dude who couldn't even be bothered to ask you out for real.
Christy, I don't want to look like a baby.
What's babyish is this stupid dance, giving boys yet another way to be disappointing, setting up girls for a lifetime of making excuses for them.
Watson is an endless fountain of positivity, and as is usually the case, over time, Christy softens to him.
I really like my new room.
You do? Oh, well, good. Oh.
Watson being a decent guy helps. He's not perfect and has a tendency to spoil the Thomas kids, but his heart is in the right place, and he and Elizabeth have a good relationship. He provides a stark contrast to Christy's dad, who, though we never see him, is obviously not a great guy. It also helps that Christy has some fondness for Watson's kids, Karen and Andrew, with Karen in particular masterfully performed by Sophia Reed Gansert, being an absolute treat in every scene she steals.
It's the Phantom Caller. Have you heard of him? He calls you, and all the time, he's in your house somewhere. Watching you. Listening to you. Smelling you.
When the wedding rolls around, Christy happens to embark on her own adventure.
Are you okay?
Yeah. I guess it's my big day too.
Did she eat too much? She got her period.
Oh.
Christy going through her period is symbolic of Christy taking another step towards becoming an adult, and part of that means understanding her mother as a human being in need of companionship, and that finding a partner doesn't mean having to be subservient to them. Christy's growth throughout the season is learning how to be critical of a world shaped by men, but not letting that bleed into all of her relationships, to accept the good and resist the bad. It doesn't change the fact that Christy's dad is a piece of crap or that the world isn't always fair, but Elizabeth is proving herself to still be a role model for her daughter by showing her the way towards a better future. And of course, Christy isn't doing this alone.
Oh, I got my period.
What? When?
Just now. Don't worry, it didn't get on the dress.
Baby, don't worry about the dress. Are you okay? Do you know what to do?
We took care of her.
Of course. You always do.
Part of the BSC is braving a future that isn't always kind to girls, with friends who will help you get you through the tough times. And making that new future in part requires tearing down old parts of the status quo, much like in the books where Christy destroyed the patriarchy. That might not have been an official release, though.
Christy's journey isn't unique, and Marianne has to contend with some patriarchal challenges as well. Also the child of single-parent household, Marianne lives with her father, Richard Spear, played by Mark Evan Jackson, after her mother passed when Marianne was a child. Throughout the series, Marianne's struggle is to claim as much independence as she can from a father who isn't ready to let her grow up. It's a fight to redecorate her room, change her curfew, and even change her hairstyle. Marianne's dad is notoriously tough on her. In one of her finest moments, the typically quiet and reserved Marianne is forced to step up and take charge when one of her babysitting charges, a young trans girl named Bailey, is suddenly sick. Marianne goes through all the steps one would expect a reasonable babysitter to take, calling the appropriate people, and then getting Bailey to a hospital. But where she shines especially is when she makes an important stand for respecting Bailey's identity after she's misgendered by a doctor and nurse.
As you would see, if you looked at her and not her chart, Bailey is not a boy. And by treating her like one, you are completely ignoring who she is. You're making her feel insignificant and humiliated. And that's not gonna help her feel good or safe or calm. So, from here on out, please recognize her for who she is.
Marianne makes an important stand for trans rights here, and in the context of her own personal journey, she reveals her strength to her father, who had always thought of her as someone fragile, in need of protection. Marianne's relationship with her father is driven by his inability to understand the context of a 13-year-old girl. When he sees how Marianne has grown, he reveals the connection she has to her mother.
I'm overwhelmed by you. Hearing you talk to those doctors that way, you reminded me so much of your mother.
Marianne demonstrates so much growth in this episode. Inspired by the positive example of her mother and encouraged by her father, she becomes more confident in herself. And going back to Bailey, we see Marianne go from confused to informed after a bit of help from Dawn.
Are you right-handed or left-handed?
Right.
And you've known this since you were little?
Pretty much.
And if someone tried to make you do everything with your left hand, it would be super weird, right?
If I tried to use scissors, I'd definitely stab myself.
Well, that's how Bailey feels. The same way that you know that you're right-handed, Bailey knows she's a girl. And we all want our outsides to match our insides, right?
Not everyone can be as brilliant and wonderful as Dawn, though Marianne's motivation here is to provide the best care she can for her babysitting charge. And it really represents what drives the series, a desire to help others and make the world a better place, including standing up to injustice and finding the strength to protect the vulnerable. On July 23, 2020, Rose Damu, a writer and trans woman, wrote a thread on the Netflix Twitter account about an episode she loved from the recent Babysitters Club series. One tweet in that thread, highlighting intrepid babysitter Mary Ann Spear standing up for a young charge's pronouns. Reactions were pretty intense from anti-trans talking heads.
Young girl lecturing a doctor on how to, on misgendering people. Okay, well, here's the thing. They better hope, Bailey was in the hospital for a fever here. They better damn well hope that Bailey ain't in the hospital for testicular torsion.
Aside from the fact that knowing a patient is trans can affect a medical diagnosis, since they may be on hormones, these very angry men seem to think a 13-year-old girl asking a doctor to respect pronouns will completely upset the entire medical establishment. We don't live in a world where a member of the Babysitters Club can start a global revolution where trans rights are respected, but maybe we should. Bailey is the first trans kid I have personally seen in a TV series, and her inclusion feels completely natural. The Netflix version of Stony Brook is inclusive, featuring racial diversity and different sexual orientations, and it similarly feels completely natural. Inclusion has always been part of the Babysitters Club, though. Debuting alongside this series on Netflix was a short documentary titled The Claudia Kishi Club, which examined the impact of BSC member Claudia Kishi on East Asian readers who finally got to see representation in a popular series that wasn't a basic stereotype.
So seeing someone like Claudia who was kind of forging her own path definitely helped me feel more connected to my own identity. Just knowing that there's not one way to be an Asian person, like I can just be me and that's fine.
The Netflix series continues this tradition by adding some more diversity to the cast and, importantly, not shying away from topics of the day. Although the show is for a younger audience, it doesn't present a post-racial utopia, instead opting for a light touch to represent such heavy topics.
Claudia's grandmother Mimi, played by Takayo Fisher, suffers a stroke. She loses much of her ability to communicate, and Claudia helps Mimi regain some of her communication skills with her artistic talent. But it's Claudia's older sister Janine, played by Aya Furukawa, who can speak Japanese, that has an easier time understanding Mimi. Claudia and Janine's relationship is not an easy one. Claudia's artistry isn't appreciated by her parents the way they celebrate Janine's academic success, but Mimi has always been supportive of Claudia. With Mimi depending on Janine more, Claudia feels that relationship slipping away.
Two things I knew for sure. That I was an artist, and that Mimi understood me. Now, it felt like I didn't know anything.
Sensing Claudia's frustration, Janine shares part of Mimi's history that Claudia had never heard before.
What's Manzanar?
Claudia, you can't be serious.
Is it some make-believe place like Narnia or something?
It was an internment camp. Mimi and her family were there for 3 years, starting when she was 5.
The story of Mimi's time in the internment camp brings the two of them closer together. And then Janine has the biggest mic drop of the series.
I don't understand how someone could do that to a family.
I don't understand why they still do.
This is a series about girls starting a babysitting club, and it's providing simple, effective stories that provide texture to a dark chapter in American history, while tying it to the present. It's certainly not a full education on the subject matter, but it's an accessible start. And while it's certainly tough to figure out how to teach children about some of these darker parts, Leaving Them Out presents a vision of the past that's rose-colored. It's incredibly courageous for a show aimed at a young audience to touch on subjects like this. It also speaks to the importance of representation in the series. This moment would not have happened without the character of Claudia, and learning the truth about her grandmother doesn't just make her feel closer to her family, it allows her to grow as an artist, as the episode ends with her creating artwork that has a deep personal message within it. In a world so heavily skewed toward the male gaze, it's powerful and important to have popular media where stories are told through the eyes of young women. Growing up, shows or books where the protagonists were male were always understood to be for everyone, whereas books with shows with female protagonists were just girl stuff. This leads young people to internalize that white men are the universal default subject. It can also lead to young men not being able to understand or empathize with the feelings or struggles of young women, as these seem at best foreign, or at worst trivial and less than. The girls are portrayed as complex human beings, and issues like menstruation that are not typically broached in mainstream media for young people of all genders are handled wonderfully. Their outfits are all creative, cute, and age-appropriate, not pandering to the male gaze in the slightest or trying to prematurely age them, which you would think would be on par for the course for a show for and about pre-teens, but sadly the bar is pretty low on that front. This may be due to the fact that so many women worked on writing and producing the show, bringing N.M. Martin's stories up to date and addressing current political issues while still retaining the story's character. In addition to the strikes against the patriarchy, transphobia, racism, and empire, the Girls' People Over Profit cooperative venture reminds us that a more just economic future is possible too. While the girls often refer to the BSC as a business, and Christy is known to boast of her entrepreneurial talent,
Christy Thomas, resident of Stony Brook, president of the Babysitters Club.
The BSC operates as a worker co-op, with each member paying a percentage of their earnings and dues to maintain and improve the operation. Prospective clients aren't able to request specific sitters, but are assigned sitters based on their availability and how much they've been working. This ensures that each sitter has an equal opportunity to work. When Marianne accepts a personal sitting request from Mrs. Del Vecchio, being too shy to inform her of the no request rule, the girls aren't shy about letting her know she messed up.
Clients aren't supposed to pick their sitters, Marianne. That goes against the club's entire mission statement.
I'm sorry. You don't have to apologize. Just try to be more assertive. Stand up for yourself.
Sorry. You don't have to keep saying you're sorry.
Sorry. Marianne.
The girls soften when Marianne saves the day with Bailey, but it's clear that moving forward, the cooperative approach to equal opportunity work will stand. In the skillfully handled episode 3, the girls learn of the cruel barbarism of the free market when older crime girls copy their business model and try to run them out of the babysitting market.
Need a reliable sitter? Call the letters you can trust. BSA. The Babysitters Agency.
As high schoolers, members of the Babysitters Agency can stay out later than the BSC, and seem to have a lot more capital and marketing resources at their disposal. One day Stacy is babysitting Charlotte in the park when she runs into Lacey Lewis, the president of the BSA.
Stacey Miguel, treasurer of the Babysitters Club.
Is that supposed to mean something to me?
Don't even. You guys totally stole our idea. Your agency is a complete ripoff of our club.
Ugh. Sue me. Or don't. Ideas aren't intellectual property. I'm doing the club, and I'm doing it better. I don't have a curfew, and I can drive myself wherever. Welcome to the free market.
Lacey nails it here. Competition in the quote-unquote free market benefits those who already have privilege and standing, and rewards theft, dishonesty, and those who will be shameless and ruthless in the destruction of all competitors. But the writers don't stop there and masterfully call out liberal feminism when Lacey drops this impeccable line.
You really should try supporting women. When one of us succeeds, we all succeed. Unless I put you out of business.
Liberal white or hashtag girlboss feminism without a class analysis would have us believe that women become more liberated when there are more women CEOs, even if those CEOs make use of sweatshop labor that exploits poor women around the world. Certain privileged women making individual gains within a broader patriarchal and capitalist system, especially at the expense of other women, does nothing to elevate or liberate all women. With this cheeky line, the show makes a powerful critique of a feminism devoid of any real political analysis of capitalist patriarchy. It's down with the girl bosses, up with the girl cooperatives. This rebellious energy culminates in the final double episode set at Camp Moosehead, where Dawn stages a revolution. Dawn moved to Stony Brook from California, and her character plays on some of the West Coast cliches, like eating mostly vegetarian and being socially progressive. Dawn immediately understands Bailey, for example, and helps Marianne to empathize with her too. When Dawn and Claudia take Camp Moosehead's art class, they're struck with righteous indignation upon realizing that the best art projects are behind a paywall.
My parents didn't give me commissary money. They think camp was already so expensive.
Then you can't do the tie-dye. I'm sorry, but you can assist or draw or something?
At lunch, they condemn the injustice of this.
Art should be for everybody.
It's not just the art stuff. Horseback riding costs extra, and there are special day trips that not everybody can afford.
That's so unfair.
It's socioeconomic stratification. It's creating haves and have-nots in what's supposed to be a utopian environment.
They do more than just commiserate, though, and immediately begin to brainstorm what they're going to do about it. While the lower-income campers are watching their wealthier peers have fun tie-dyeing, Claudia covertly invites them to a forest location for Friday. There, Claudia and Dawn hold a free art class for everyone excluded from the camp's class, and what they make is pretty stellar. When the camp headmaster, Philomena Means, nicknamed Meanie, played by Tammy Sager, catches them and orders them back to the sanctioned but elitist art class, Claudia makes a stand and is remanded to her room.
Claudia, be strong! You're doing the right thing!
Now what?
Now, we fight.
The revolutionaries throw up the three-finger salute popularized by the Hunger Games and used by various movements against military dictatorships across Southeast Asia. With Claudia a political prisoner, Dawn gets to work trying to free her and fight for justice for all.
Claudia is a political prisoner. I'm her eyes and ears on the outside. The only way to free her is to subvert the entire system and start a revolution.
Yes, and if it's a long imprisonment, I might need 3 more bags of Cool Ranch Doritos.
She organizes a lie-in and voices clear demands: change the unfair pricing system or let Claudia continue art classes for free. Meanie remands them all back to their rooms, which gives Dawn a better idea.
We won't be missing activities if there are no activities.
Dawn sneaks into Meanie's office and makes a camp-wide announcement calling for a general strike.
This is Dawn Schaefer, your organizer, but not your superior. Today, I'm asking every camper to make a sacrifice. Not for yourself, not for me, for justice. We must abstain from activities until we are all equal.
This isn't terribly appreciated by Mary Ann, who has been organizing a theater performance of Paris Magic, where a teenage girl time travels through the French Revolution. As everyone walks off her set, she pleads for them to stay, and we get this glorious line.
Sorry, Marianne. I'm a union guy.
Claudia busts out of the political prison of her cabin and helps Dawn and the other camp comrades build a barricade outside the theater. The raucous action brings out Mary Ann, who confronts Dawn about what's going on. In a touching scene, Dawn explains that she's not trying to hurt Mary Ann or her play, but that what she's fighting for is bigger than that, and through struggle with her comrades, she's able to be the best version of herself. Mary Ann understands, and although she scabs to keep putting on the play, which isn't the best look, Dawn understands Mary Ann to be working to change the world in her own way, through art, and there are more than enough comrades still at the barricade. Unfortunately, when Meanie threatens 3 weeks of being remanded to cabins, many of the kids break and slink away. The stand falls apart much more easily than it perhaps would have with more seasoned revolutionaries. But when Dawn and Claudia are called into Meanie's office, the rest of the girls follow them in solidarity, including Mary Ann, who agrees that what they're fighting for is bigger than her or the play. When Dawn and Claudia plead for equality with Meanie, she admits that she would love to make things free, but that she would go out of business, implying that our economic system itself is driving inequality within and outside of the camp. Despite feeling like they hadn't won all they wanted with their protest, the girls realized that participating in the struggle itself has been incredibly valuable, as they both felt self-actualized and engaged.
I'm sorry I dragged you into this mess.
As much as I love camp, being your comrade has been the best part. So if this is how it ends, so be it.
After further negotiation, aided by Christy, Stacy, and Mary Ann, the girls came away with some solid concessions. They achieved one of their core demands, which was that Claudia would be able to continue the free art classes for the people. Mary Ann was able to reshow the play on 3 consecutive nights, and all of the girls became counselors in training. When first watching this show, I wondered if the takeaway message was that revolutions don't work, and revolutionaries will just get folded into liberal capitalist regimes. But upon reflection, the threat of revolution is how we got most advancements for workers that we enjoy today. Very often, you have to ask for a lot and do it militantly in order to just get a small step forward. Maybe this is a realistic portrayal of fighting for revolution, with all of its messiness, with friends and family perhaps on the other side are not fully committed until the pressure rises, and demanding everything but still celebrating the smaller wins along the way. The camper solidarity forced important changes and perhaps laid the groundwork for future action. At the end of the day, I'd say this is a marvelous message for audiences of all ages to walk away with.
Long live the revolution! Long live the BSC!
The babysitters are here for the revolution, even an incomplete one, and they carry a spirit that's identified with the strong connection to their parents, particularly the women in their lives, such as Christy and Elizabeth, Claudia and Mimi, and Marianne and her mother Alma. These girls are helping guide a new generation, not only through their tireless work as babysitters, but in the example they set for any kids lucky enough to be watching this series. The revolution is still incomplete because Revolution is a multi-generational project. The Babysitters Club show understands this, presenting a diverse group of girls ready to take on the world, taking ground wherever they can and protecting the achievements of previous generations. And this will be just as true when we get season 2 of the Babysitters Club, sometime in the future on Netflix. And if there's any justice in the world, we'll get many more seasons after that. One sad note is that we will have to say goodbye to Xochitl Gomez, who brought life to Don Schaefer, but we sincerely look forward to Kendra Sanchez taking up that role.
Yeah, we have a good question.
Okay. Join the Babysitters Club. Join the Babysitters Club. Stop.
Yep.
The only thing left to say in this video is, Mexi, do you have a... Burn of the Week!
I do have a burn of the week. It is during the Camp Moosehead double episode when that poor young girl says that she does not have commissary money because her parents already think that camp is too expensive.
Then you can't do the tie-dye. I'm sorry, but you can assist or draw or something?
And that's a burn on the working class.
My burn is a few episodes prior when Stacy and Marianne go to the beach and Stacy is trying to buy a gift for an older boy who's a lifeguard who has no real interest in her, and she's not sure what to get, and she is thinking about getting him a book.
Is this something you like? It depends. As this boy, am I very interested in mollusks? Forget it.
And that's a burn on mollusks.
I think we had to rewatch the show about 3 times over, just partly for fun, but partly for research.
A lot for fun.
Yeah.
Also, I noticed we didn't discuss Stacy all that much in this video.
Mm-hmm. Well, what is there to say, really?
She's from New York. She has diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. That's all you need to know about Stacy. The names you see on the screen right now are our lovely patrons. If you'd like to support work like this, you can sign up to one of our Patreons or both of our Patreons.
Or both of our Patreons.
Yeah, that's ideal.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can also like, comment, subscribe.
Share
the video. That's also good.
Mm-hmm.
And, hit the bell for notifications.
Hell yeah.
That's cool. Thank you, everyone, for watching.
Thank you.